Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin and Rugby podcast. Joining me this week is someone back for his 50th cap, and he's celebrating the milestone by having a worldie of a round on Super Brew this weekend, earning a whopping 17 points. So we probably should have had him on for the preview show as well. Welcome back to Mr. Rich Masood.
Thanks, Jeff. Lovely to be back. I can't believe it's been 50 occasions that I've people have had to suffer my face. But there you go, 50.
Well, you've also recently shook a curse. We seem to think every time you came on was the time Leinster had lost, so that's gone out the window for now. And anyway, so it's all good. It's all good for you so far. But let's move on anyway and turn our attention to our feature match of the week. And here is a generic 80-word summary of how things went. Leinster beat Scarlets with a bonus point win at the Aviva, driven by doubles from Tommy O'Brien and Joshua Kenny, plus tries by Gary Ringrose and Max Deegan. Scarlett struck first through Joe Roberts and impressed early on, but two yellow cards shifted momentum. Leinster's tempo and accuracy told, with O'Brien electric and McCarthy influential. Scarlett's rally through Tom Rogers and Max Douglas, yet Leinster's power and precision, capped by Kenny's late score, secured a convincing response to recent setbacks. Now, obviously, we'll be going into a bit more detail in that. And to start this week, Rich, now I've seen comments around the rugger sphere, and I know there's a lot of negativity surrounding this display, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's to do with this being a win the week after we fell short in Glasgow, or maybe there's a bit of the Prague penalty shootout disappointment in there too. But whatever it is, I want to start this rap pod with some positives. And especially on second watch, I did see them, and one was our wingers who helped themselves to two tries each. So let's harp on them for a bit, shall we? Starting, of course, with player of the match, Tommy O'Brien. I'm starting to think that once he's fit, he's one of our most valuable players in both blue and green.
Very much so. And I think it's only right and proper and well overdue, or long overdue, that we actually feature Tommy O'Brien. Um, I think I know we're going to be talking about both, so I'll talk about both first, and then focus on Tommy. And I think it all goes, in my mind, it all goes back to one of the things that Paulie O'Connell used to say, and that was that you needed to be exceptional at those things that require zero talent. And basically, that's hard work and getting your basics right. And I think that was epitomized in the 79th, or yeah, pretty much the 79th minute, when Tommy saw the danger. Scarlets were pretty much going to score. Um, they were dead cert to score, but then he put the afterburners on, shot across the pitch, and the best view of this obviously is taken from behind the posts, and he makes up easily about 30 meters, um, and manages to grapple and tackle the Scarlets player. But not only that, he then has the wherewithal to jump back onto his feet and secure a penalty for holding on. And you can argue the toss whether or not he released beforehand or not, but I don't care. He deserved to get that penalty. The ref was probably miles away anyway, and the game was done. So I think that epitomizes what Tommy O'Brien brings. And I think that's also reflected in Joshua Kenny. And I suppose you wouldn't want anybody else but Tommy O'Brien to be the person you aspire to be if you're a young winger like Josh Kenny is. And he puts those hard yards in. He carries physically into contact, but not stupidly. You don't just find the nearest lump and crash into it. He tries to get a soft shoulder. He tries to find a gap, and he's got pace to burn. And pace you cannot teach. Pace you either have or you don't, and they both have it in spades. Um, and I appreciate that, everything that James Lowe brings to the party, um, and all his physicality, if not so much his speed, and also his rugby brain. Um, but I don't think we have an issue moving forwards by having Josh Kenny as an understudy on the left wing. Not for one, not for one moment. And touching wood. all things being equal, he will wear the green shirt in the 15s game, version of the game, even in the not too distant future. Also, I think, and this goes down to to their work ethic. It's quite apart from their skills and their abilities and their vision of the game and their vision of where the gaps are, when you have to switch wings, when you have to come across to the other wing to help your other winger. They both do that within a game, but also, and Ian Madigan described it, that what Tommy O'Brien brings, and we saw a couple of instances of this. He brings the third playmaker, third center ability. So we have basically the fly half. Then you got your 12 and 13s, and then you got this guy who can also distribute with ridiculous ease, as he has done. Not only finding his man, and there were a couple of bullet passes to the wings, which ended up in tries, which you think, bloody hell, this is a winger. That's what a scrum half or a fly half should be doing and do. But this guy brings that added bonus. And I know we're not even talking about Jamie Osborne because he does it as well. But yeah, I think they are both exceptional players. I think they complement each other extremely well. They have an understanding of where they each have to be and when. And every team needs that backline that understands each other, that pendulum that moves across the pitch as and when, both in defense and attack. And I think there is an increasing understanding as between both of them. And once Hugo comes back with Hugo as well, not that it was at fault with Jimmy at 15, to be honest. I think the future in terms of our backline is very bright moving forwards. And I just want to reiterate the point that, quite apart from all their skills, all their footballing skills that they bring, all their awareness, all their rugby nous, if you don't bring the hard work, none of the rest matters. So, and I think they both bring that. They have an extremely wonderful work ethic, which can only be applauded.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about this pair is that um, if you go outside, maybe the Leinster bubble, going into this season, it's a similar thing happening in the Irish team. Only I suppose on the other wing, you're talking Rob Balakoon. Those two players would not have been in the majority of fans starting 15 for Ireland. And for Leinster, O'Brien and Kenny would have been the same with Leinster. I mean, Leinster fans, we know Tommy O'Brien. He's been there for a good long time, and even like back in the RDS, he was making those try saving tackles.
Mm.
Before we started playing in the Aviva. So it's going back a good few years. We've known what he can do, but he's been dogged by injury. But the fact is that going into the season, there's a lot of people wouldn't have had them necessarily like starting on the wings in a guaranteed Leinster. Definitely not Kenny because a lot of people didn't know him. I followed the sevens quite closely. I did know of him. I'd seen him play, but he's adapted so well to the game, to the 15s game. And this is the thing when Tommy O'Brien came up, and there's a rake of players at Leinster that have just come up and they've instantly started playing. You can say Joe McCarthy did it. You could say Dan Sheehan did it. They came right into the team and they were match ready,
Yeah.
ready to play in Champions Cup rugby. Pretty much, we've seen Paddy McCarthy this season getting Ireland caps as well.
Yeah.
All these players are coming through, and they're backing themselves, and it's great to see. Now, between the two of these lads, Tommy O'Brien, I mean, they both had good games. They both got two tries. very influential. I love the way they both, like you say, they don't just play out in the wings. They come in looking for work as well. They support each other in the center. They come through the center a lot as well. They do a lot of
Mm.
different things. But Tommy was just next level again. You talk about that turnover towards the end. He was doing it in the first 10 minutes as well. He was
Yeah.
turning over. There was kicks going
Yeah.
in behind him. He was dealing with them. He doesn't just know to get the ball, but he's able to handle the situation. He knows what to do afterwards. Like you say, he's not just going to chase down a player. He's running him down saying, I'm not just going to get him. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get up and I'm going to jackal the thing. And just to be able to do that at full speed is just it's
Mm.
incredible ability. And like you say, it's almost you almost cannot have him. You can't. There's no possibility of leaving him out. He's gotten himself as one of the first names on the team sheet. JJ, again, it's how he backs himself. I think there was one game in the Aviva there earlier in the season. I think we pointed it out in the pod as well, where the game was won. He had a chance out in the wing, and he just couldn't hold on to the final pass. Even though the game was won, the bonus point was in the bag. He'd already gotten a couple of tries, but he
Yep.
whacked the ground
Yep.
in disappointment. He
Yep.
was pissed off, and that's the attitude you want to see.
I
Um,
was on that pod.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember that.
Deja vu. So that's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing we want to see. Now, in JJ's case, you can look at this particular match. This is the one we're reviewing. There were a couple of times. There's one where he had a break down the wing. He had Jamie Osborne clearly inside him. He could have, but he sort of backed himself. He kicked it ahead, which is a good sign as well. Kicked it
Yeah,
ahead. It went a bit dead, but
it did that.
maybe
Yeah.
with a bit more experience, he would have known to pass inside. There was another time where he got mixed up with Jemison Gibson Park. I think that if it's an exit situation from a restart, if Gibson Park if it's between you and anybody and Gibson Park to get the ball, you let Whiskey take it. But that's all experience that's going to come. I'm not putting him down completely. I just didn't want to make it a complete love-in kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone's got ways that he can improve, but with experience, like you say, we see Balakoon sort of owning that Ireland jersey. But you see this, Kenny has got this. He's so confident, he's so determined, and he's so skilled as well that he's got the ability to do that himself down the line.